Hi, and welcome back to another episode of fearmeitsbre podcast and blog. One of these days, I'm going to have a much less awkward intro than just me kind of like, hey. So, I don't have that yet. We're just going to have to live with what I've got. I'm still trying to figure things out here. I think I did something funny with my lighting as well, and my sound is off because OBS does not want to give me any help whatsoever. So, whatever's going on, we're just gonna have to deal with. Apologies in advance. Today we're gonna talk about James O'Keefe making a comeback because he started his own company again. And then we're gonna talk about Gotham Knights, which I was minusculely interested in. I was a little curious, forgot it was a thing, and then saw this clip surfacing around Twitter that just has me like, I'm good. I don't need to watch this show if this is the direction that it's headed in. There's more stuff about banks. I think a couple more banks have they've either failed, they've either failed or they're at least like looking to sell, which is not good. And then Kamala Harris, I guess, made a fool of herself. What's new? So I guess we'll roast a few clips from that speech because it's hysterical because it shows how inept she is and how incompetent and unable to do her job she is, nonetheless form a sentence. And it's also terrifying because it shows how incompetent and inept at her job she is. The Vice President of the United States. So, we'll get into that. You can follow along at fearmeitsbre on Twitter, Instagram, and all the fun places. And without further ado, I guess, because I ran out of words, we're going to start watching James O'Keefe's video. He came back with a video. O'Keefe Media Group is what he's calling his new thing. The acronym is OMG, which is kind of funny. He started the Twitter for it, I guess. I just followed it because I wanted to know what was going on. Totally curious about that. I'm really curious to see what he's going to do. I definitely wonder how this is all going to go for him. Oh, that's not the right button. I'm sorry about the sound quality, by the way, in this video. I'm still having issues, so I hope that it can be heard. I don't think this one has subtitles, so we're just gonna have to deal with it. But I'm gonna restart that and we're gonna play it.
The irony of the Acorn story is that it took a 25-year-old with a hidden camera a few days to do what billion-dollar networks and journalists could not do in a decade. I spent 14 years creating the most effective nonprofit newsroom this country has ever seen. And in paving the way to establish citizen journalism, I have been defamed, arrested, raided, ultimately removed from the organization I spent so much time developing credibility of. I always knew they would try to ruin the reputations of those who expose them, the pharma giants, the three-letter government agencies, and those who I thought I could trust. But in response, we are going to build an army of investigators and exposers. They have awakened a sleeping giant. I'm back. Remaining by my side are a small, tight-knit group of the most elite journalists in the world. Exposing corruption requires standing up to power because power hates sunlight. We are sunlight. Welcome to the O'Keefe Media Group, where we will never be shut down. Because not only do I own it, but you own it too. Support us and sponsor our army of journalists by becoming a founding member today.
Well, there you have it. He's back, I guess. I'm interested to see how this goes for him, and I'm interested to see like Project Veritas, what they're doing. I know a lot of people unfollowed them when this whole James O'Keefe leaving, not leaving, fired, not fired, whatever was going on, drama happened. I'm still going to follow them because I'm morbidly curious and I want to know what's going on. So I'll follow them and I'll watch their crap, see what they put out. And I'm going to follow James's new thing and see what he puts out for information because either way, I think both parties are a force for good. Say what you will about Project Veritas and the mistrust that we have in it. I'm sure there's still good people in the company, even if like the upper people, the higher up people may not have been. I'm sure that there's a handful of good people left in there. So I'd like to see what both parties do. And it'll be interesting to see who ends up being more successful in their endeavors. I would say probably James will be, because Project Veritas lost a lot of people, and James O'Keefe has a lot of fans and a lot of love for him. So I think a lot of people are just gonna like flock right to him and his stuff, which makes sense. So that was cool. I thought I'd play it because, like I said, I'm wicked interested. I wanted to like follow James O'Keefe's story more than I have, but you know, I kept like catching colds and flus and things, and that kind of hinders this. I don't want to do this when I'm in bed with the flu. Not even an audio episode. You wouldn't want that either. My voice was gone. It was worse than last time. So that was just a quick little tidbit to start with. The second thing I'm going to talk about is Gotham Knights, which is a CW show, another DC adaptation. Looks like it's about Harvey Bullock, which was like one, or maybe it's Harvey Dent. I'm honestly not sure which Harvey it is. I hate that like you have a universe where you give characters the same name, and it kind of makes me want to just like because confusion. But whichever Harvey it is, I'm pretty sure it's Bullock, but I'm not sure. So there's a clip floating around where he sits down with his partner, cop, and I guess like potentially accused for Bruce Wayne's murder or something. What's it called? Not culprit. Darn it. Whatever. The person who's been accused for the murder or whatever. And they appear to be transgender or something like that, because they get dead named by Harvey's partner, which if you don't know, which I'm sure you do, but if you don't know, dead naming is when you use the name of a transgender person that they were assigned at birth. So let's just say if I decided to become transgender and I changed my name to Bob, but you continued calling me Bree, that would be dead naming me. And the fact that they put a clip of Harvey getting upset with his partner for dead naming potentially a violent criminal and is upset that this person has hurt this person's feelings is absolutely ridiculous. If anyone has ever watched the show Gotham, which admittedly I've not finished because there is a lot of that show, but I really enjoyed it. I love the guy that plays Harvey Bullock in that. He's also in The Patriot, which is one of my favorite movies. He plays the guy... He's the guy that kind of like harasses the freed slave that joins the army, but by the end of the movie he's like gained this huge respect for him because he's like, dude, you don't have to be here anymore. You're free. Why are you here? And he's like, I'm here fighting this battle because I want to be here. And then he is like, I'll accept you as a friend because mad respect. Like he ends up becoming a lot less bigoted and a great character. And that's the guy that plays Harvey Bullock in Gotham. And in Gotham, Harvey is a much more hardened, cruel... He wouldn't give a crap about what your name used to be or what your name is now. If you're a dangerous criminal sitting in front of him and he's interrogating you, good luck. And then even let's flash back to, is it Batman Begins where Harvey Bullock is eating the sandwich and underpays the guy or doesn't pay the vendor or something, and he's like, what, you don't like falafel? That whole scene, I think it's in Batman Begins, could be in Dark Knight, but I'm pretty sure it's Batman Begins. And then like Batman catches him and flips him upside down, and he's like, who are the dirty cops or something like that. Like he's even more of a sleazebag in that. So it's funny to me to see this character as a super sensitive, oh well, we can't step on toes, man, no feelings hurt here, even though this person, I guess, is being accused of murdering Bruce Wayne. Or like, I'll just play the clip. I think I've ranted about that enough. Let's see. I'm gonna open up the little window and it's already playing. Blah. So we're gonna pause that and we're gonna go back to the beginning, and then I'm gonna take my little face and put it down here so that you can actually see what's going on. All right, let's go.
Because your birth certificate says you were... Don't use his dead name. Bruce Wayne. Ford, take a walk.
So that was pretty ridiculous. I've only seen negative feedback toward that. I have not seen people like, well, I mean, I guess I've seen a handful of people being like, yes, that was so great, so glad, sensitivity and representation. There's been a handful of accounts on Twitter, I guess, that have said stuff like that. But for the most part, I've seen very bad feedback for that. Nobody likes it. Everybody's just like, wow, they went woke with that one, didn't they? The fact that he tells his partner, like, get out of here, take a walk, like, come on, this is a police interrogation. I know this is a young person. It looks like it might be a teenager, maybe just like a very young adult, but still. It's just so dumb. Like I said, Harvey in other adaptions, not a nice guy. He'd be a little more tough and rough, and he'd be the one dead naming this person. It wouldn't go like this at all. Yikes. So yeah, I'm not gonna watch that because I watched that clip, forgot this show was happening. Like I said, I was kind of interested when I initially heard about it, and then I saw the clip, and now I'm just kind of like, another one bites the dust, I guess. I'm not gonna watch it. It just looks terrible. I don't think it's gonna make it past season 1. Actually, I have it pulled up on IMDb. 4.9 out of 10, which isn't great. And they're only on their pilot. That was their first episode. So, which had a 6.6. But yeah, no. Not great, not good. I think people are very disappointed in it. I'm hoping companies like this start getting the message and stop adding the woke crap to their stuff. If it's produced good, like if it's something that's produced genuinely good, the actors are good, and everything in it is just really, really good, then okay, whatever, I'll let a few things slide. But when it becomes the ongoing theme of something, that's when it just gets really annoying, and I'm done with it. Like The Last of Us definitely had its woke elements, and it had things that I wasn't a huge fan of sprinkled throughout, but it was well produced. It looked really good. The writing, I feel like, kind of fell off, although I've heard people say it was a great adaptation for what it was. It just didn't hold me toward the end, and there were some things that I feel like they could have done a lot better, but it looked phenomenal, and it was cool to see like the cameos of the video game characters in that. Ashley Johnson, Laura Bailey, and Troy Baker, like, they had little roles in it, and that was really cool. I honestly think Troy Baker could have played Joel, but it wouldn't have had the same draw that having Pedro Pascal's name on the banner had. And I love Pedro Pascal because he's what kept me coming back to the show for the most part, is because I enjoyed him and his acting, and I thought he did a great job. The show itself didn't necessarily draw me in, if that makes sense. Anyway, moving on from CW talk and random mini review of The Last of Us, I guess. There's some bad stuff going on in the banking world, as we know, but this is an article from today. It's New York Times, and it's about First Republic Bank in California, and it looks like they are potentially selling out. I think since all this stuff happened, we've had 3 banks crash. So boom, boom, boom. You had the initial thing happen, and then you had the second largest bank failure, and then you had the next one, which was the third largest back to back, and then you had a third one, and then you've had like 2 more since then, and this is one of them. And this article is from today, so it's fairly up to date, I'm hoping. So we're going to look at that real quick just to get a little update on what's going on in that world. So I'm going to switch the screen over again. I think that's okay placement for my little floating talking head. Yeah, that should be all right. If you want to read along, maybe I'll just do that. All right. So, First Republic is said to be exploring a potential sale, the New York Times writes. With its shares getting pummeled, one of the nation's bigger banks is searching for options to shore up its finances and calm jittery investors. I wonder why people are jittery. Oh my gosh, I wonder what's going on. Doesn't it all feel like we're living through 1929 and the whole crash that started the Great Depression, does it? So give me 1 second to drink some water, because reading, I'm going to be like toward the end of it. I'm not going to have a voice because I'm still recovering from having had a cold. So just give me 2 seconds. All right. I'm back. Now this is by Lauren Hirsch. Huh. So yeah, this came out at like 10 o'clock this morning. So, I mean, it's probably been updated. They might have sold by now, but I'll read it. It seems like a good jumping off point. First Republic Bank, a mid-sized lender whose shares have plunged this week amid broader banking turmoil, is exploring extreme measures, including a possible sale. A person familiar with the matter said, indicating the bank's moves over the weekend to strengthen its balance sheet may not have been enough to calm investors' concerns. No kidding. This bank is considering other alternatives, like an infusion of cash, said the person who spoke on condition of anonymity. Some words I just can't pronounce well. One of them is facetious. I usually end up saying like facetious, or like if you get me talking and I say the word facetious without thinking about it, it's not going to come out facetious. It comes out weirdly. And I guess anonymity and seeing enemies, whatever. That word is another one. The person, or the process is confidential. So the person who's like giving out the information wants to remain anonymous. No deal is certain, the person added. A spokesman for First Republic did not immediately respond to a request or comment. Bloomberg News earlier reported that First Republic was considering options, including a sale. Despite its efforts in recent days to shore up its finances, First Republic, a San Francisco-based lender known for its affluent customer base, so another elite customer base there, has remained a concern because it shares many similarities with Silicon Valley Bank, the bank that was seized by federal regulators last week. The collapse of Silicon Valley Bank was in part a result of an excess amount of unsecured deposits and investments in long-term bonds that had fallen in value. Okay, our advertisement. Shares of First Republic have plunged about 70% over the past 5 days, giving it a market value of $5.7 billion. The bank's credit rating was downgraded to junk by S&P Global Ratings on Tuesday. Other U.S. regional banks that have battled market turmoil faced renewed pressure on Thursday. Shares of PacWest Bancorp dropped more than 10% at market open, and East West Bancorp fell 5%. By contrast, the biggest banks like JP Morgan Chase and Bank of America posted smaller declines. On Sunday, First Republic announced that it had secured access to about $70 billion in additional liquidity from the Federal Reserve and JP Morgan Chase. That came on top of funding it has access to as a part of an emergency government backstop program created to stem the fallout from the failure of Silicon Valley Bank. It's going to become a great value bank if they don't start fixing things. The bank has sought to reassure investors and customers of its fortitude. First Republic's capital and liquidity positions are very strong, and its capital remains well above the regulatory threshold for a well-capitalized bank, the bank said in a statement on Sunday. On Monday, the firm's chairman, James H. Herbert II, told CNBC in an off-camera interview that it was not seeing an unusual number of depositors flee, but is not clear that concerns over the stability of regional banks has been allayed by actions by the federal government. So, yeah. I guess this is a quick little tidbit I could read as well. The downfall of Silicon Valley Bank, one of the most prominent lenders in the world of technology, startups collapsed on March 10th, forcing the U.S. government to step in. Struggling under the weight of ill-fated decisions and panicked customers, Silicon Valley Bank has become the biggest U.S. bank to fail since the 2008 financial crisis. The bank's implosion rattled a startup industry already on edge, and some of the worst casualties in the collapse were companies developing solutions for climate crisis. Oh, that makes me so sad. Wow, gee, I really wish those climate crisis companies could keep going. Man, the little guy falling apart right there. maybe it's not such a bad thing. It's such a cliche thing to say, go woke, go broke, but what were they investing in here? Wonder why they fell apart. Well, Gregory Becker, the chief executive of Silicon Valley Bank, extolled tech innovation. The institution was caught flat-footed by economic change. Even as the government assured depositors would be able to recover their money from Silicon Valley Bank, the episode exposed the tech industry's vulnerabilities. The Justice Department is said to open an investigation into Silicon Valley Bank's collapse. Legal experts say the focus could be insider sales by several bank executives in the weeks before the failure. Seriously, I hate saying that go woke, go broke phrase because it sounds so cliche and stereotypical, like conservative, go woke, go broke. Like, it's not like people who aren't woke don't make mistakes and do dumb things too, but when you're like investing all your capital in climate change and climate change related startups, they don't care about climate change. It's a feel good, hey, let's throw all our money and resources and passion into something that we can just say we support. We don't have to do any work for it because all of our stuff is overseas where we don't care what kind of pollution they put out. Have you seen China? Greta, say something about China if you're going to call people out here. You're not. Because you don't care. I mean, you might care. You might actually be that brainwashed yourself that you do care about this, but your passions are misconstrued and being put into the wrong efforts because you've probably been told your whole life, hey, this is what's going on. You're probably going to die before you're 25 because, oh no, the world's going to burn up from global, whatever we're on now. Is it global warming? Climate change, rising sea levels, blah, blah, blah. And she may believe this. She might. But it's just such a misconstrued passion because the biggest culprits of what they're claiming is happening is not the United States of America. We don't do anything here. We don't drill here. I think I ranted about this in my last thing. We don't get our oil from here. Everything comes from overseas. America is actually, like, pollutant-wise, it's fairly clean. The places that she should be talking to about this are overseas. But I think it's just another, let's destroy America grand scheme of things in the end, because why is this happening here? I don't know. But as we can see, clearly, this stuff doesn't help the economy. I'm going to move on from that, and we're going to go to Kamala Harris talking out of her butt. I mean mouth, but it might as well be her butt. I have issue. I take issue with when the 2020 election happened and Kamala won the vice presidency. A lot of people were posting, despite who she is, as women, we should be celebrating the first female vice president because it is a step for women. It's, women are rising up, blah, blah, blah. And I'm sorry, I don't care if she's the first female vice president. If she's the first female vice president, the first woman of color female vice president as well, that is a very poor first whatever. I'm not going to support somebody just because they were the first. I'm not going to celebrate it. And that's another thing is people were like, regardless of how you feel politically, she should still be celebrated. And I was like, no, she should not. Have you seen what she stands for? Have you seen her takes on abortion? I did an Instagram live where I just read through her Twitter, and all of her Twitter feed was like Roe v. Wade, abortion, bring it back, abortion rights. And it was so hard to read. And just the fact that people are like, well, we should still celebrate her. She's like the first representation we've had of this people group. I am sorry that she is the first representation. That's a terrible representation. Anybody, a trained, trying to figure out what's like, a puppy would be better. Isn't there like a state that like has a dog as its governor or something, or like its mayor? That would be better than Kamala Harris. And I'm not sure anymore if is she that dumb, or is she on drugs to dumb her down? Because seriously, let's just like go to her little interviews and see what she has to say, and listen to the hyena cackle as well. That's the other thing. She laughs at the most inappropriate times. Like, is it a nervous tick? What is this? All right. So here's one where she talks about, I don't know, let's find out what she talks about in this one. A word, she has main character syndrome. She's referencing a show about a vice president, Veep, which I haven't watched, but it's, you know, it's about like the vice presidency and all that. She has main character syndrome. That's what she sees herself as. Makes so much sense. That was weird. That was painful. I love how he kind of softballed, like, oh yeah, but, you know, oh, well, everything you said was part of the question. Answer it for me. Is this the one we just watched? Let's find out.
I do. I love it. Is it accurate?
Yes, we did watch that one. Okay. I don't know if there's any more. Those might have been it for... This one looks fun. Let's watch this one.
In fact, I'm going to share with you a very simple story, which is that I went home one day and I said, well, why are conservatives
Oh, this
bad,
one.
Mommy? Because I thought we were supposed to conserve things. I couldn't reconcile it. Now I can. In fact, I'm going to...
The lights are not on upstairs. I'm sorry. It's all a scam. Diesel generator charging one of Kamala's electric school buses she loves so much. I just love yellow school buses. Right? Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, Kamala. All right. Let's see what she has to say here.
Being vice president requires a deep love of country.
Yes.
And
I don't know that she has that, though. So apply that to the January 6th protesters. God love them. Are you? So you're saying that they were justified in what they were doing? Then, if you approve of you heard it from Kamala Harris, out of the mouth of the woman herself. Make sure you fight for your freedom and make sure you fight for your rights, because they don't want you to keep them, despite what she is saying in this video. Oh boy. Oh boy. Wow. Anyway, I'm not going to go much further in the the Kamala boat. Just because it's bleh. Bleh. It's just not it's not worth wasting time on. This will be a shorter one, I guess. I'm probably going to end it around here just because short and sweet today. It was kind of a mishmash of topics. Maybe people care, maybe people don't care about them. I just figured I'd put something out so that, we'll see what happens over the weekend. I probably won't post anything again, video-wise, until Monday or Tuesday. Probably Tuesday. I'll probably post something Tuesday night if I can get something recorded between Monday and Tuesday. See what news happens over the weekend. If something crazy happens and I happen to have time, maybe I'll pop on, but I don't know that I will. We have a busy weekend lined up. After tomorrow, I don't know that I'm going to be like home almost at all except to sleep. So I won't be back till Monday or Tuesday. So that said, if you would like to follow along and see more content, you can follow Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube, fearmeitsbre. You can go to my Substack if you want to read any of my written work. I recently put out one about the issue of trans kids, and I talked about John Money and Alfred Kinsey in it. Two terrible, terrible fellows that I didn't even go into as much detail as I could have, just because I wanted to keep it PG-13, not NC-17. Let's just put it that way. So yeah, you can go to all those places. You can find, I have a few audio only episodes that kind of are like an offshoot of this. Those are also found on my Substack. I can link my Substack as well. I know some people last time messaged me and were like, how do I find that? Because it's a little bit different than like my normal stuff is, just because the URL is old. So anyway, I guess I will head out and I will get this ready to upload. I'm uploading this at, it's like 1:15, so there might be crazy stuff that's happened since I recorded it. I may miss some stuff, but I will hopefully be back Monday or Tuesday. See everybody then. I hope everyone has a great weekend, and I will see you next time.